back. It is the Creepy Kentuckian here with yet another review for you. This time from our good friends over at Arrow Video. Arrow has a killer new limited edition of the Ridley Scott Fantasy classic. Yes, I'll call it that. Legend from 1985, starring Tom Cruise and Mia Sara. And I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and I figured this would be the time to revisit it. The movie itself is set in a fantasy world. This was the mid to late 80s. There were a lot of these kind of movies being made at the time. Tom Cruise plays the character Jack. Mia Sara plays Princess Lily. And again, it's like a beautiful, scenic fantasy land, and the two are two romantics almost. They're young, they're in love, and they decide, Tom's character decides he wants to show her the unicorns. Yeah, there are unicorns in this world, and you see them quite a bit in this movie. The unicorns in that land hold all of the power to the light and beauty. And then there's a dark world as well, which the Dark Lord is Tim Curry, which you can see his character right there. It's kind of like the devil, right? He kind of orders his minions, right? You know, that same day, I want the unicorn's horns. Because they hold the power to the light. And with the power of the unicorns, it places that world into instant darkness and all that good stuff. And they also have a storyline where the Dark Lord kidnaps the princess, and now it's up to Jack to go and rescue her. So that's kind of the setup for the movie. It's very, like, there were all kinds of movies like this back in the day. Princess Bride. I always get this movie and Labyrinth mixed up a lot as a kid. Legend, the movie, I don't believe was a big success in its initial run. It was kind of a flop. But over the years, the movie has become just, it's got its own cult audience, if you will. If you're a fan of the movie Legend, this movie, even though, this is a Blu-ray release, they didn't do a 4K of this. This is remastered in 2K. They're good buddies over at Arrow. This may be one of the best looking Blu-rays that I've ever seen in my life. I'm not kidding. Hand to God. The transfer on this thing, like, this is, even though it's not in 4K, absolutely stunning, some of the stuff that's in this. Now, I enjoyed this movie. This was one of those deals where I hadn't seen it in so long. I'm like, which one was this, right? I remember the Dark Lord. Everyone remembers that. But other than that, I didn't really remember a whole lot about the movie. The cinematography, Ridley Scott, man, like, he's such a talented filmmaker. And a lot of the time with Ridley Scott movies, just the freaking length of them, they're such a chore to get through. But this one, is like a 93-minute movie or something like that. I think there is a director's cut version that places it right at 2 hours. So with Legends, a lot of it is just the fantasy atmosphere, the dreamlike stuff. Whenever it goes, the world falls into darkness. It's kind of stunning, actually, what happens. It snows. It becomes, it's a big snowstorm. Some of the fantasy creatures, the goblins in this, the witches. It's a fun movie. Like, they do not make movies like this anymore. Now, if they're doing something like this, it would be overtly hokey for kids, stuff like this. This is one of those that's kind of back in the day at least, it would be for kids and adults. But it does have some dark stuff in it. The Dark Lord character. And I gotta really put over Rob Bottin's makeup effects in this. Talk about some just way ahead of its time stuff. And so much so that my wife had watched this movie with me. She's not into movies as much as me. But she would look, especially at the Tim Curry, Satan, devil character. And was like, how did they do that? You said that was from 1985? So I was like, yeah, it's prosthetic makeup effects is how they did that. And she was like, whoa, that looks great. And it still does. It looks amazing. I'm not sure what happened with Rob Bottin, and he's pretty much retired. But man, like that guy was extremely talented. Also, another interesting aspect to this, there's two different cuts of this, like I mentioned before. Tom Cruise himself is not a big fan of the theatrical version. He prefers the director's cut, which is included on here as well, but is not remastered. So if you want the crazy, awesome video quality on this, you'll want to check out the remastered version. But the director's cut is included in this set as well. Now, this is one of the limited edition deals from our buddies at Arrow Video, and they did a bang-up job with this thing. So let's go through it. So this is the standard Blu-ray that is in the package. This, and like I said, it's 2 discs. A lot of the extras is on disc 2, and the director's cut as well. But there you go. Also, as always, included, you got a little promo card here that's talking about some of the Sailor suit and machine gun Asian. Arrow has some weird stuff too, like I don't really get, but reproduction cards for the movie of like lobby cards from back in the day. And the newly commissioned artwork here, which was also the slipcover on this. Same artwork. But if you, and I always do this, I don't want to do it right now again, use the original artwork. You can flip it over. I always like the original artwork on this too. Lots of bonuses in this. So the book, right? This is one of the things that I really enjoy that Arrow does, is these booklets, which are really like little mini books. They do a great job about the making of the movie, the whole history behind the movie. Anytime you get an Arrow limited edition, you will get a book included. And it's kind of a thick book too. Which includes a lot of production stills as well. So you get that. You get the double-sided poster, which I don't have any wall space. But if I did, I would... I would get a frame that would fit all these and hang them up because they're really cool. So again, the newly commissioned artwork there and the original artwork. And these are always on quality paper, matte finish, all that. Now this is something different that I've never seen them do, or they really do this sparingly, right? So these, what are these, like 5x7 size glossy photos, and I'll open them up for you guys for the first time. But these are really of quality here. They're in their own packaging. And we'll go through these photos too, man. Like when I saw this, I was like, what? So, the Dark Lord, Tom Cruise, and Mia Sara, who, it was aggravating me so, and I use IMDb a lot when I'm watching movies, and I was like, what have I seen her in? What else was she in? And then I looked it up, and it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off, oddly enough, which I think came out at the same time. It was around the same time. There's some of the little creatures, and this was something about the 80s as well. You know, you had a lot of, I think Jim Henson was mainly the reasoning. I don't think he did these. I'm not really certain though. There's one of the shots of the unicorns, right? There's Link and Tinkerbell. There's one of the goblins, right? So, man, like, stuff like this is the reason why Arrow is one of my favorites, maybe my favorites of these releases, because they include stuff like this, and it's always of a quality. I mean, these, I'm not kidding you, they're glossy photos. So, getting all that stuff put back up here. But rounding it out, guys, this is an amazing edition that Arrow came out with. This is one of my favorites that I've reviewed of them so far. The transfer, again, on this is unreal. That's the best way to describe it. Awesome fantasy movie if you've got kids. You want to watch it with, you know, maybe a little bit older kids. This is a good one, man. I mean, I'm a big fan of stuff like Willow and Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, stuff like that. So this is right up there with that, but I think it may be more well done, actually. This is one of Ridley Scott's movies that nobody hardly references. You have both versions of the movies on here. The special features, you're loaded as well with special features. I want to go through these quickly, or most of them quickly. I want to take a picture of the back so you'll see exactly everything that's in here, because it is loaded up, man. I mean, come on. A limited edition, disc 1 includes the U.S. theatrical cut. It includes audio commentary by Paul M. Salmon, author of Ridley Scott Making of His Movies. Reconstructed isolated score track by Tangerine Dream from 2002. Isolated music and effects track, Remembering a Legend, brand new featurette interviewing Grip David Codwalder. A production supervisor, Hugh Harlow, costume designer, Charles Node, co-star, Annabelle Lanton, camera operator, Peter McDonald, set director, Ann Mallow, and draftsman, John Ralph. Music of Legend 2-part featurette focusing on the score for both versions with film music experts Jeff Bond and David Schwiger, along with Austin Garrick and Bronwyn Griffin from the band Electric Youth. Creatures of Legend, a 2-part featurette feature looking at Rob Bottin's makeup effects with illustrator Martin A. Klein and makeup effects artist Nick Dudman. Incarnations of a Legend, a comparison featurette written and narrated by critic Travis Crawford discussing the differences between the various versions of the film. The Directors, Ridley Scott, a 2003 documentary in which the director discusses his career up to that point, including Legend. Opening narration from the edited for television version. Music video for Is Your Love Strong Enough by Brian Ferry. Disc 2 is the director's cut and includes an audio commentary by director Ridley Scott, Creating a Myth, Memories of Legend, an archive documentary from 2002, featuring interviews with Ridley Scott, William Hoberg, Mia Sara, Tim Curry, Rob Bottin, and several other cast and crew members. Original promotional featurette, 2 deleted scenes, alternate Four Goblins opening, and the fairy dance. Storyboard galleries, 2 drafts of William Horberg's screenplay, alternate footage from the overseas release, plus textless footage. 3 theatrical trailers, absolutely loaded up, bulls. I want to tell you. So this set's killer. It's not strictly horror. It has horror elements to it, for sure. I did really enjoy it. It is the new limited edition from our good friends over at Arrow Video. And it is out now. So check it out. And be sure to check us out over at DEADPIT.com. Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe.
And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do or
I
not.
want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell. Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPit on Patreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.